Yo, welcome to Beat People Podcast, episode 92. Yo, so we had a plan for a special guest, but something came up, and so we'll have to pivot a little bit. We'll probably circle back around to our special guest at another episode. And so, for those that might be checking this out right now, I'll be changing that image, and then we'll circle back. But yo, I got my man Ali in the place to be. What's happening, Ali?
Yeah. What's up? Cooling.
Chilling. Yo,
Yeah,
Dub
man.
Station Zero. What's happening, Dub?
What up, Dub? What's up,
Yeah.
Derek? How y'all doing today?
What up, Derek? Yeah. So yo, um, we was just sitting up here talking. Why not? What's going on? Why not?
Why not? What up, homie?
It's been a minute, bro. Yeah. So we sitting up talking and realizing we have to pivot for this show, but I kind of like the idea of just, Ali and I got common ground in a couple ways, but in this particular way of like having our own modular companies and kind of talking about what that looks like. And you know what? Without giving away too much, I kind of like that conversation that we was on. And
Yeah.
I was just talking to Ali about, and I don't know how much you might want to share about what the planning of anything, so we don't have to get into any of that stuff. But anyway, how's the module going right now?
Module's going well. We had some slight setbacks in manufacturing. There was, like standoffs for the screen weren't in, and had to get those, and then an issue came up honestly for the panel, whereas they do like 9 panels at a time or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the artwork for Issa was pretty intricate, so
Mm-hmm.
um it was at a point where like the first one or two were perfect, and then as it got down the line it got more off and off, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
couldn't have that, so had to get like a jig built up so that everything was going to be perfectly right. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So that's the jig should be there Monday. Boards are put together. Everything else is ready to go. Honestly, just waiting on panels to look pretty. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And that's probably more important than anything. Well, I shouldn't say that, but
Yeah.
as far as panel art, your art is very identifiable, and it's very, like you said, intricate. That design is almost mesmerizing a little bit. So
Yeah, good looking.
it can't be off in no kind of way.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, look, let me show you. Where are they? We got iterations, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I got 2 just here. It's like we gotta be
Mm-hmm.
going through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this one is like, oh dang, we forgot the line on the bottom.
I know how that goes.
You know what
I
I
know
mean?
exactly how that goes.
And then this one is like, okay, this was the original one, but like, this wasn't good enough and this was too close to the top, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you got to design in your head like when the first thing comes through, but then sometimes you got to pivot a little bit because it didn't look quite right. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't even have the front panel right now.
Mm-hmm.
The
I want to
the
show
good
you something.
one.
Yeah.
The good one.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I don't have the good front panel right now to show y'all. I already sent that out to Div Kid, so he's got one
over here in my drawer of treasures. Hold on.
What's up, Pat? How you doing?
Yeah, so I know that blues when it comes to that kind of stuff because here's a Trinity 2.0. Hold on.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff was all for like the logo at the bottom was too close to the bottom.
Right. Yep.
You have to deal with that. It's just those kinds of things, man. Well,
The same thing
here's
on this
one.
one. Look at it. It's like right at the bottom edge.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
It's just those things like they come up and you're like, damn.
And this one wasn't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah. So those little things, but we've had the actual final done for a couple weeks now, but it's just getting that jig to get everything right in line. And this is my first product, and Chris and I, we don't want anything subpar coming out for any of our products. So we decided, it was best to spend the time and to get the jig and make sure everything was right. And it also, helps manufacturing. So yeah, we believe next week we should be receiving the shipment and be able to start shipping out our pre-orders and be able to take down the pre-order and say, hey, we're
just
shipping.
Yeah, no doubt.
Order.
Hey, that's exciting, man. That's like an exciting stage of the game right there. And I think people don't realize just how much of that how much of the stuff that goes into putting out a product, right? Well, hold on, got a question here. I think it's a good question. How do y'all feel the modular community responded to y'all ideas? What drives y'all to be in the game of modular? That's a good question. What about you, Ali?
So, I think I've, got a pretty nice reception so far. You know what I mean? It's like, you still have to build people's trust, and I'm new in the game, so I'm at the point of like, wanting to build people's trust, and like nobody has the modules yet. So I just need to get them out there and let people see how much Chris and I have worked on this and how much of a value I feel like we're providing in HP, you know what I mean? And in flexibility, I feel like there's not quite anything as flexible as this. You can build your own effect really with 3 effects, pretty much. I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like you're
totally can customize your own sound with that.
It's like having a Zoya with 3 slots that are already pre-configured. You know what I mean? You don't have to go in and build your effects. So yeah.
That's what's up. As far as me, let's see how y'all feel about modular community responding to ideas. Well, I told a story before about when I dropped Performer the first time. I was actually overwhelmed with the response. It was definitely a different day in the modular community, a different time in the modular community. But I was not expecting what I got. Like there was a lot going on with that. It was the most strange looking device, and I think I get that. You know what I'm saying? It was very like it stood out. So I think the reception was really good. And I'll tell you what drives me to be in the game of modular is, man, I just love doing the work of bringing something to life. The idea, bringing it to, what it looks like, what it performs like, getting into the UI, and then going through the development process, even with its headaches. I love that when it comes and you can, hold that thing in your hand. You know what I'm saying? When you finally get it and you can do this. Like that's an incredible feeling. It really truly is an incredible feeling. And no, and I think too is that and I think this may be true for you, Ali, too. I won't speak for you, but I definitely feel like I saw a bit of a gap, or I just didn't see the stuff that I wanted to use. Although I had a huge modular rig, and I still do, of all kinds of different brands in the community. But there were some things that I wanted that I just didn't see. And there's still some things like that. Those things I also have designs for, but I kind of think it's an amalgamation of that, loving the
Yeah, me
process and
too.
loving the results.
I think I like making things, and I've been into electronics my entire life.
Hmm.
Um, I told the story before of like my grandfather building TVs on the island of Trinidad, and
Hell yeah.
like just going to his house and seeing all his component drawers and looking through the books, like that's what I would see when I went to his crib. You know what I'm saying? So now
Hmm.
to be able to like totally understand that and build my own things is really cool. You know what I'm saying? So I think
Yeah.
that's what drives me. And I like music, so I wanted to build music type things. You know what I mean? And then once
Hmm.
again, like you said, um, I have an idea of something that I don't feel is being filled, you know what I'm saying? And I want to create that. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's what kind of drives me.
It's funny you say that too, because I think it's something about that craftsmanship. Like I feel like as a kid, you gravitated to craftsman of what your granddad was doing, the
Yeah,
craftsmanship of it. And that I think is ingrained in a person that makes things. You know what I mean? Like for
yeah.
me, my
So
uncle was a leather craftsman. And so I watched him make, almost anything you could think of that like Coach or Gucci makes. He was doing
yeah,
that in leather craftsmanship, those silhouettes and all that kind of stuff in the 70s and
right.
80s. And he's always been ill with that. He, would teach me some stuff. And even though he wouldn't let me get too in depth with his tools and his machines,
Yeah,
it still was like, I think that was something that was ingrained in me early, where
right.
it's like, the craftsmanship really matters. And I think, you know, um, for instance, I'll show something that I think speaks to that pretty deeply, the craftsmanship of stuff that we make.
Yeah,
And this
yeah.
thing is kind of heavy, but I'm going to show it. I don't even know if I've shown this much. I took it out to one show. So I'll back.
Oh dang. Yeah, that's what's up.
And so this is a case that was inspired by like a boom box, and it has a little kickstand,
Yeah,
right? And it does that. I'll open it up so you can see, but really it comes down to that craftsmanship is the stuff that matters.
yep,
And this one is too heavy because that's, when you're making stuff you don't know yet. Right. But you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yep.
This is like a 1/4 inch thick
Beautiful.
aluminum joint is heavy, but the craftsmanship of it is incredible.
Yeah, that looks amazing, bro.
Yeah. Thank you, bro. So yeah, I think it's something about just the creativeness of it all that really draws and pulls at those strings. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Let's see.
Yeah.
How'd you find and pick a manufacturer? Um,
Yeah. How do we answer this?
yeah. Well, let's see. Well, one thing somebody said made in SoCal, right? Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
Both of
it
us
is.
are made in SoCal. And so the way I found and picked the manufacturer, and we use the same manufacturer,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But the way I found them is because they were a part of the community. And yeah, uh, I was doing a podcast and I met Andrew. We were
Andrew.
at NobCon. And I was like, yo, Andrew, you want to be on the show? We're doing it live. Me and Kim was doing the show live at NobCon. And he was like, yeah, I'll be on there. He came up and we was sitting on the panel doing the show. And he was a cool dude. And later on, I found that he was manufacturing his own stuff, like for Qubit and those couple brands that he manufactures for. He had a couple of the brands he was manufacturing for. So for me in 2019, when I was starting to really dig in and say, I'm about to do this, I was actually going around to a few different people. I was looking for more dev help and I didn't know what I was going to do about manufacturing. So I went out to Andrew's spot over at Qubit and I was like, yo, here's what I got. And yo, I don't know. I just come from this kind of way. Like I got a whole PowerPoint. I got You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got mock-ups. I got other equipment that operates similarly and demonstrating, and then showing all the stuff. And and they were like, hey, we manufacture too. So boom. That's how it
Yeah.
all kind of came about. And so they are in SoCal. It was just a drive away for me. And that I think was important too, right? I had run across a couple other folks, but I think it was important for me to be able to do it where I could drive down there when needing to. And this is so specialized. It's a niche market. And if you have all of the specs and everything, any manufacturer should be able to do what you need to do. Like I think
Yeah.
Isla Instruments, their stuff may have been like, I feel like at one point he told me that the place that makes their stuff, they typically make medical devices, which is an interesting thing. I've seen that a lot, like places that manufacture for some Eurorack places make medical devices and that kind of stuff. But at any rate, this just felt right because they were down the street. Not really down the street, but you know what I'm saying? I could drive down there. I was familiar with them, and that just worked out. So I think for me, I kind of got lucky. If I had lived elsewhere and not being as close knit in the community as I have been, I think it would maybe been a little tougher.
Yeah. And for me, I'm coming in after, and of course, I have Corry to talk to. He kind of has blazed the path, and so it was only right for me to go to Electrosmith also and get manufacturing with them. It makes sense. I'm using Daisy
Yeah.
to drive it, so um, it just makes everything a lot easier. And they
That's
had a
another
good track
key.
record, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's really key for me because I know that they make modules for other big companies, and they have a standard that they have to meet of quality for those, so I can expect that same standard of quality for my modules also. um, and also it's less work on my end to deal with putting together and manufacturing of the module, and I can keep my focus on making new modules or making
Mm-hmm.
or other ideas. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Yeah.
have to like take myself totally out of my like design mode to figure out manufacturing or start soldering up some if I was to go to somewhere else, yeah, maybe I could get the boards and stuff done, but then once I get the boards, then I have to start hand soldering
Mm-hmm.
my stuff, and honestly, I just don't have time to do that and code and
Build a
come
business
build
around
a
it all.
business and come up with the electrical engineering designs of the module, that side of stuff too. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mm-hmm.
um, because Chris does most of the coding and stuff for Isu, he did all of the everything. I did
Yeah.
the DSP. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? How the
Well,
module
I
works.
mean, but I think that's a good delineation of craftsmanship and duties,
Yeah,
though. You know what I mean? Like you got a
yeah,
hardware dude and you got a DSP guy. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I think like I don't know why my camera said I'm not gonna focus on you while you talking right now.
yeah,
But I think that's a dope, divvying up of the stuff, and that's why it's such a good marriage of work ethic. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
me
a
and
good
him work
balance
really
is what it
well together
seems.
too. So it's like honestly a dream come true for me because I, I'm not great at coding. You know what I'm saying? I took I took some classes back in the day,
Hmm.
but you know I've been able to learn a lot having him on the team. You know what I mean? So it's definitely amazing. Um,
Yeah. um yeah, so Dub Station Zero, this is a good point. This is an interesting point. I also think there's something about modular that inspires the user to become a maker, whether it's through DIY, repair, to filling a need for something that doesn't exist yet. Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. And you know what? I also had a lot of decision points for myself when it came down to that too. Uh, do like you were just saying, do I have the time to solder everything and build all the different things? I knew, listen, like I've told people before, I have a degree in electronics from the 90s, right? So yeah, I've built circuits, I've breadboarded, I've done all of the stuff. I couldn't have gotten a degree without doing that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Soldering, I've soldered good, I've soldered bad, and you know, when you're out of practice, then you get in practice, then you solder better, like all those different things, you know. But what I was kind of clear on from the beginning was that, do I want to do that part, like as much as it takes to sell hundreds of modules? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And I think you have to make some choices. And what I think I enjoy more than all of that, well, first, what it served me is that I think I had some understanding of how things can be done. Now, subject matter expert that does this all day, every day, still required a person like that in my corner to help develop things, right? You know what I mean? But the beauty of it all was coming up with an idea and bringing it from idea to hand, like to be physically in your hand. And like, there's something about that. I think in modular in general, there's something about this cognitive sort of connection from brain to fingertip, where you fire, neurons are firing, you think of a thing and you have to patch it in order to make a thing happen. Same thing with me as a youngster, taking apart a watch that I couldn't put back together, or taking apart radios and making them better, putting them back together. You know, these kinds of things. I think that all is a part of that. And so that's probably what drew me to modular in the first place, because of that piece of me. You know what I'm saying? That wants to have that technical or really tactical, or you know, being able to touch the beats and touch the patch cables to make the thing happen. I think that's all a part of it. And yeah, that's what drew me there, and that's what drew me into the point of actually wanting to make something. So I think it's something to that, man. It's one of those communities. I think.
Yeah. And honestly, I think I also want to move into other directions. Also, I want to make desktop devices. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, honestly, I want to be able to just create cool devices that I think are cool and useful for other people that make music. You know what I mean? Something that's not, you know, maybe a different idea that's not totally out there already. You know what I mean? So
I feel that too, yo. Actually, and I've been saying, like, almost from the beginning, where it's like I always see myself expanding into desktops or pedals and all these different things. You know, because I think, you know, if you look around our studios, we use all these different kinds of things. And as creative thinkers and makers, like, we know that there's things we could put out there that fills gaps, or that something doesn't quite operate the way we wish something would operate, and we could make those things and put them out there. And I feel like this is becoming a show and tell, because that compels me to show something that I worked on that never. See, that's another thing too about being in this game. When you have ideas and you build things, and you know, you've built a brand, or you just got ideas, like it's you work on some things happen, some things don't, some things get delayed, and some things will come at a certain point. There was a point where I was showing
is it me, or
what's up?
You might be cutting up a little bit. Is that me, or?
Oh, I don't know. Chat, am I cutting up? Can y'all hear me? I
The
can't
camera
tell.
looked choppy to me. I just didn't want you to.
No word.
Now it stopped. Of course.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I could be having some internet issues.
Okay. Yeah. It might be me. Oh.
Yeah. So I'll show something here because I totally agree, Ali. I want to get into other types of stuff too. And I've started working on something, but development pause because I want to be sure I'm going in the right direction. But I guess I don't mind showing it because it's clearly it's a product that is, can I say it's sort of derivative? I guess I could say it's sort of derivative because if you all know Osiris, and here's another one of those panels. Let's see if I can get it to.
Come on, camera.
Yeah. There.
Oh, it had it for a sec. There you go.
So you can see that the circles are kind of off, misaligned.
Yep,
that was one of the
yep.
things I was going to show earlier. And those are the things that you go through when you're making stuff. You get it. You're like, oh.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this.
Hey, hold up. I got one better for you before.
Okay.
You move on.
Yeah.
The worst is when you get something and the whole motherfucker don't work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yo, you wow. You say the whole motherfucker don't work.
Hey, you know, you just gotta keep moving. You gotta keep on pushing, bro.
Yeah, I feel that. So, hey, but one day that joint, you told me one day that's gonna come to life.
Yeah,
and it's gonna be dope when it does.
Yeah, we actually working on it.
That's what's up. So I'm gonna show you this. I just showed that panel Osiris. And so I was working on a desktop, and this is like breaking news. This is news flashing over here. I haven't talked about this in public, but I was working on a desktop, and I guess I could say I'm still working on a desktop. But you know, when you got a lot of things, a lot of irons in the fire, you kind of pivot around and got a couple stuff. So I'm about 80% done on develop of this, and so here it is. This is, I'll show it back. You know, we still got the output here with MIDI and like I could plug in USB-C, USB-C and power that joint on. But here's the reveal.
Oh shit!
So this is what we call ProCyrus, and so ProCyrus has you know, it has some of my filter technology in there, like so the filter that Meridian, some of that is in there. It has Osiris. I split out, for those that know Osiris has a timbre knob, and on the timbre knob you have these 7 or 8 timbres, and then it goes to FM on the right side of the knob where you can really bend the stuff and been the waveform and all that kind of stuff. It's still a wavetable synth, but in this case, what I did is I broke out the FM part of the knob to its own knob, and then the wave folding part of the knob to its own knob, and put a crossfader between it. If you can see that.
Yeah.
Right here.
Hell yeah.
And so this is the first iteration of it, and part of the reason why it's not completely done is because I wanted to do some ergonomic switching around on here, like some of the design. And that's the other thing, when you design stuff, you look up and you like, yo, I shouldn't have did that part. Or I should change this. But at any rate, this is an arpeggiator. It has 4 envelopes, but 2 physical controls for envelopes and the buttons to switch between. And sub oscillator and all that stuff is patchable. You have a couple of 16 presets. And anyway, the art is really dope. And Yeah, it comes on. I can switch it on, and it's like I'd say about 80% done, maybe 75. But I'm just not there yet. You know what I mean? And there's some things that I wanted to change about it. And I think what I've learned as a maker is that form and fit and value, like that case is pure aluminum. And, you know, how easy is it to make? And this is a different iteration. Hold on.
Yeah.
So that's one case, and this is the original case for it, right? Let's see. This top panel, if I can get it off of there. The top panel obviously is cut out and it comes off so that you can get that top panel on there. But this thing is so dope. You see the name embossed in there?
Yeah, dang. Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah. Yeah, so I haven't talked about ProCyrus in public, but yeah, man, I feel like there's something there. What I found, and there's a reason why I went there, and I want to get to this question, but there's a reason why I went to start developing something like that, is because when I was at shows and people would come up and see a whole system, like something like this.
Yeah.
If they come up, like people get intimidated.
Yeah.
By seeing all those modules in one place like that. And I was just kind of thinking like, all right, I have this sort of thing, right, where it's a smaller case and people can understand like, okay, that's a drum thing.
Yeah.
And it's not intimidating. But so many people are curious about modular. And then the market that we would appeal to, or that we appeal to, is beat makers and stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of those cats may be curious, but they is not trying to be bothered with all those cables and all that stuff and all the technical stuff of it.
Yeah.
Some of them get adventurous, but what I wanted to do was create a standalone thing that you could put next to your MPC and get busy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
so that's how that came about.
That's an amazing idea. And I think I've said it before. I want to get to the point where I can rival the MPC. You know what I mean?
Word.
Like that's my goal. You know what I mean? But you know, we got to work our way up there. And
that's exactly, man.
Yeah, I might as well say this while we on the air. I think we might need to combine our brains and at some point and make,
I think you're right,
make something bigger happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
I totally agree with that. Like I was sitting here thinking as we talk, I'm like, oh no, we may need to pool our ideas and become,
that's
you know,
what I'm saying.
have something bigger happen.
Form like Voltron.
That's,
you know what I'm
saying. Straight up. Yeah, I'm with that. No BS, for real.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out, man, because I think there's so many dope ideas, and then I think there's just power in numbers of doing some of this stuff. But then in this question too, let's see, in what ways has hip hop shaped your way of thinking using modular, and the way modular has influenced you in making hip hop? So that's a good question.
Yeah, that's an awesome question, really.
Yeah. How you feeling?
I think hip hop has ultimately shaped the way that I use my modular, but modular has in turn totally reshaped the way I make hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And actually what I make. You know what I mean? Because sometimes what comes out on the modular ain't hip hop. It just
that's true.
And you just have to let it go there. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's real.
you gotta let it go there. Like sometimes it's just like, all right, this doesn't need a hip hop beat. This just needs a 4 on the floor, dog.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't get around it. Right.
So, I mean, that's what it is for me. I think it's like a both push and pull. You know what I'm saying? Modular has made me explore other genres of music where I don't think I would have ever dabbled into making something else. I like making hip hop, but then I figured out through modular that I can make other shit too, and it's cool as fuck too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's real. You know, for me, hip hop influenced and shaped the way I approach modular, just because like I had this whole philosophy early on that like, you know, uh if you ever seen the movie James Brown, and this gets tangential, but I'll bring it back full circle. But the movie James Brown, where Black Panther dude played James Brown.
Okay, yeah. I don't know the name of the movie, but I know what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah. So there's a point when James is working with the band, and he was talking to the dudes, and the dudes on the trumpet, and everything. Think about anybody that's in this band. You got bass players, guitar players, keyboard players, drummer, the horn section, rhythm section. Oh, get up.
Get
Yeah,
up.
that's the name. So James was frustrated with how they was rehearsing the song, and he kept stopping them, and it was going back and forth and back and forth. And he just kept saying like, y'all ain't doing what I'm telling you to do. And he said, I said, you know, beat like that beat hit on the one. And I don't know, that's basic music stuff. On the one,
Yeah.
go. Like, you know what I'm saying? You
Yep.
5, 6, 7, 8, 1.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he was being frustrated with that thing, and he asked his trombone player, what is that instrument you using? He's like, a trombone. He's like, nah. What's that instrument you use? Saxophone. Nah. The bass player. What is that instrument you using? He's like, a bass. You know, they all looking at him like, bro, you know what kind of fucking instruments we using?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And his point was, when he got to it, he was like, no, that ain't no trombone, that ain't no saxophone, that ain't no bass. Those are drums. This is percussion. Those are percussion. You're playing percussive instruments when you're playing with me. And it crystallized what he was looking for when they started playing. It was the funk. It was syncopated in this rhythm. And so his whole thought was that you're supposed to be playing it like a percussive instrument. It's hard hits. It's rhythmic. It's you know what I'm saying? Now, the reason I say that is because when I got my modular, I looked at it like, yo, that's all vinyl. And what I mean by that is I have this big old case, and I can make these wild ethereal sounds and experimental stuff because I really like to dig in and make experiments. That's how I learn too, right?
Yeah.
Like you get a module and you like, some people are talking about different, you know, when I first started learning about polyrhythms and all this different stuff, then okay, I got to get on there and kind of figure out what's that like, and you know, end of chain bursts or all these different things. And so you get on the modular, you might make some grooves, and allowing the modular to go where it's going is stuff that you probably wouldn't think of, but you created this, right? And so then what I would do is record long chunks of it, and then I would take that and chop it up. That was like my first iteration of dealing with it before I started getting more into let's play it live off the modular in syncopation with my MPC. You know what I'm saying? At first, it was just like, let's just make a bunch of sounds and treat it like it's all vinyl. So I literally was like, nah, that's a Eurorack case, but it's all vinyl. So I'm approach it that way. And then I can chop it up. And what that allowed me to do was to keep that sort of hip hop sensibility, because, you know, coming up, we would chop up just about anything. We would look for obscure records.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And try to chop those up. So that kind of influenced the way I approached it. But then the more I got into it, the more I started realizing too, like, yo, you could kind of take this anywhere. And I like this idea of, this is when I was, I put on videos like in the morning when I'm like getting ready to go somewhere. So just this morning as I was waking up, I put on, somebody had commented on an old video of mine, and it was a 8-10 minute Modbap set. And so I just let it play. And I was looking at it. I was like, that was an interesting decision I made right there on that part. But that's where you just letting the modular go and do its thing. And I had this underbed of like, you know, drums and hip hop like this, you know, that was the vibe. But over the top, it was chaos. And it just got progressively more chaotic. And then it came back down. It was like a weird thing. So I think that sort of mix and match and integration of modular is definitely what's always kind of caught me and drug me in.
Yeah, I like the movement also. A
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
time in like hip hop beats, like it's pretty like stagnant. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, Being able to make the beat breathe a little more is very
Yeah.
interesting to me. You know?
Yeah, I feel that too. Movement, I think, is probably, yeah, I think that's a big thing actually,
Yeah.
because you can do so much when it comes to like modulation and having things move around. And I just enjoy uh the pattern disruption of that. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You
Yep.
can inject some life into it, is what it feels like.
Yeah.
It says, how much of your rigs are personalized by you? Depends on how you mean. I mean, I got
Yeah.
um
What you mean
I
by
I
like built by us or like
yeah, we'll give us a little more to the question. Do you mean how much of the rigs are personalized by you in terms of like how much have we DIY'd stuff, or do we have our own products in there? Because I know I feel like with Ali having his first product, when he gets to a point where he got 5 products, it's gonna be all over his rig. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like that's been another joy for me, is that like I wish I could show you this screen that I'm looking at right now. I had 8 designs right out the gate, and that's incidentally how I ended up with distribution, building your own products. Word.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
um and so something that's dope for me is that I had mock-ups of 8 initial designs,
Hmm.
7, 9, I don't know, something like that. And they was in a row, and I had it like it was in this. They were all mock-ups, and all the ideas and specs. I had all of that stuff, and I just tried to keep cranking as I went. And it's cool to have gone from that to most of them are physical things now. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. This looks a lot like what that original mock-up was.
That's what's up.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's
It
hell
looks a
yeah.
lot like that. So for me, definitely, it was kind of a goal and a dream to have a whole, even if this just even
System.
if this 84p, have a whole system. Like that's
Yeah.
a huge thing for me. And there's still a couple more things I want to do to be able to get there to like a complete, like I still need modulation.
Yeah,
you
but
you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I feel like most of your modules have everything you want built into them, though. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, and that's a
Yeah.
lot of what you did with yours is like you gave a lot of options that are not on normally on that type of device.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like for instance, on the filter, like having those extra controls to give you some crunch and some grit and stuff like that, like that's not normally on norm on a filter,
Yeah.
and it's nice to have it there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so this
Yeah.
that's exactly right. So with this is it's a filter up top, but in that blue section, for those that don't know, it is, it has a drive circuit on one side, and then on the other side is a phase shifter. So then you could do these phases, and then there's a stereo panner up
Yeah.
at the top. So it's a kind of strange thing, but I kind of like that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
It becomes more than a filter; it's like a processor of
Yeah.
sorts at that
Yeah.
point. So
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot of movement can be made with that. You know
a
what I'm saying? And
lot
that's
of
what I
movement.
mean.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, I get what you're saying. You need a modulation source to make that movement happen. I
yeah,
got what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
exactly,
Because
exactly.
you can get a. I was like, what you talk about? Like, you have so much ability to make movement in your. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's true, it's there, but you need
Yeah.
something to modulate.
Push it.
Like it's
Yeah.
all there. You
Yeah.
need something to push it through. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I got you. I
So
got
yeah,
you. Yeah.
man, yeah. There's something about that, and I think that's kind of the way I approach things, man. I be thinking the way I be thinking is it really comes down to I want this small space. Can I get the most out of this small space? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
Uh,
and
yeah, go
that's
ahead.
the thing for me. Because look, I be when I was performing, going out doing shows and traveling, I want a dope ass delay or something like that, but I'm not trying to have it take 32 HP. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's
I mean,
exactly right.
and think about, like, that's where I came up with this. It's like, dang, that's how like Isu came together. It's like, yo, I got this reverb, I got this delay, but this shit take up half the top of my travel rig. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
no, I can't do that. You know what I'm
Can't
saying?
do
So
it.
it's like,
Yeah.
and then it's like, okay, then you could have guitar pedals, but then that's more setup, like hooking up more stuff outside of the rig. And it's like, no,
Bruh.
right? So then I'm like, damn, well, what if I made a module that you could chain multiple effects? And I started off with the idea of doing 4, but then I was like, okay, power wise, CPU wise, like,
Yeah.
let's move that back. You know what I'm saying? To
Mhm.
3. But then it's like, all right, now we can change, switch, move around, flip, flop, do whatever you want. And then there's so many different useful ways that you could use it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
If
definitely
you
feel
don't
that.
have a filter, there's a filter in there. Like, if you're
Yeah.
short on space in this 16 HP module, you can pretty much hook an oscillator up to it and make a voice out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like that kind of thinking is what sets like really dope modules ahead of the pack. Like, there's something about, you thought about the user impact, you thought about the utility of it, you know what I'm saying, you thought about the space that it would take up, you thought about the we measure this in HP, and you get the value in that amount of HP that you get is immense. Like, because you got to think about what I tell people about some of my modules, and it's the same with Isu, is you have to have 8 modules to make this. Otherwise, you know what I'm saying? Like, you might need minimum 3 or 4, but depending on how intricate you get, you might need 4 to 6 modules or something just to make this. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where stuff gets really dope. The same thing with how you said with going out and performing and having all this different stuff. That, I think, to Why Not's question, kind of influenced what inspired me to do my first module. Even though I had these designs and stuff, I was going out with my Force or MPC, a small rig of Eurorack, and at one point it was a bigger rig of Eurorack. And then I started adding the 404 or the chord K oscillator for effects and stuff. So that show that we was talking about a couple of weeks ago, it was 2020 NAMM or 2019 NAMM, and we all performed at a lounge in a club over in shoot, I don't even know what it was. Must have been in Anaheim or near Anaheim.
Yeah.
But at any rate, I had all of that stuff. I had the Force, the little small Eurorack case. Then I had the 404 on the side, and I had a damn stand for the Force and a stand for the Eurorack. Like, it became a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I got a backpack, I got a case, I got all this stuff. And then one day I threw the SP404, picture of the SP404 on Instagram. I was like, somebody need to make this a Eurorack. And then I posted it, and I looked, and I was sitting in this very seat, and I looked, and I was like, take that shit down.
Right. I need to make that shit. Yeah, that's what's up.
That's exactly. I was like, I need to make that. So, and that's how this came about. It was really one of those things where I had a little revelation. Like, obviously that's 2 different modules, but that's how that came about.
Yeah.
And the idea was to carry less stuff and have that functionality that I use in smaller spaces. Like, how can I have condensed some of this stuff down into a smaller space, but still get a lot of value and still not be cramped in how to use it? And it may take some some clever thought and creative thought about how you approach some stuff, but you can get there. And your module is proof of it too.
Yeah. And I think we talked about this. I don't know if it was last show or the show before it, but
Mm-hmm.
like at this point, I want to work smarter, not harder. You know what I'm saying? When I
Mm-hmm.
do have because now I'm so focused on making modules, I'm not making music that much. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And I still love making music, but I just don't really have the time now with like, regular work, family, and like, I'm still coding effects that are gonna come out in a couple of months for Isu. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
and I'm working on Ogun. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
when I get off work, I need to do what I need to do for my family, and make sure that's done, and then I'm back to work for me. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I don't have most of my time over there on my rig is testing. Yeah, I'm like fucking around. I'm making little melodies and shit, but I'm not taking it to the full beat. I'm making melodies to test shit,
Yeah.
and you know what
Yo.
I mean, on the decks and things like that.
Hell
How does
yeah.
this sound with this type of thing? How does this sound with
Yeah.
this type of thing? Is it popping with basses, or
Mm-hmm.
does it take a sustained note well? You know what I mean, like that type
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not really like, and when I do get the time to make a beat, I want to do it now and fast because
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
trying, like, yeah, I do want to have that time where I can sit down and experiment again, like, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I feel like I want to work fast, and I
Yeah.
wanted to give the ability to work fast and the ability to be able to get in depth. And I think we kind of captured that with this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
That's what's
yeah,
up.
it's just even having a different mindset of what you want to do can give you ideas for different modules. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
that part. That's it. Like it's always that. It seems like that
Yeah.
always creeps in about how new modules come up in my mind. Like the next design that I have is like I said, it's a modulation thing. And that's not fun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like the idea,
Yeah.
like I like to make modules that are fun. And this is why it's a lot of processors and voices types of, you got the drum voice, the
Yeah.
Osiris is the oscillator, then you got processing and effects and that kind of stuff. That's the crux of what I've done. But the thing that's not fun to me is the utility type stuff. But at the same time, the more I have made modules, the more I see like I want to do my modulation a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And then things start to crystallize because you start to think of, well, what would you want to do? How would you want to approach it? What is it
Right.
that you would want to, that those ideas start like, it's a gaping hole for me. And then the more I make or test these devices or have to use other modulation or other things to make a
Yeah.
move a little bit, the more that gap starts to fill in for me. And the idea that I'm trying to do comes and
It starts to,
crystallizes.
starts to
You
come
know what I'm
together.
saying?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's to me
Yeah.
that's amazing. It's like a way of working that is amazing. And I will agree too, the more I've made things or the more that I have to test things,
Yeah.
the less music I make. And I've noticed that even when I am making music, the reason is like, oh, well, it feels like I'm constantly in test mode. So I don't
Yeah.
really take it all the way, the embellishments and all of the things that I would really do in
Right.
arrangements and stuff.
Right. Right.
Because like I said, I listen to some old sets or beats, and I'll be like, "Damn, I must have been in an era right
Yeah.
there." You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
notice I don't get as in depth or intricate. I was watching a beat breakdown of a joint, and I was like, "Yeah, there are all them layers and that subtleness," and it made something that was substantial. And I noticed that I'm usually just doing a couple of elements because I'm really just trying to test to see how something works or what this might sound like with that and the other thing.
Yeah.
But yo, this is an interesting question.
Yeah.
It's a little off course, but I don't mind answering this. The question
Yeah.
is, what do you think about new modular artists using Behringer products? No disrespect, I see you advertising your products. No, it's not a thing. I'm not really
Yeah.
advertising really, but
Yeah, we didn't want to make this like an advertisement for our products. We're just talking. Really, we started off with a conversation about, this conversation started offline about, talking about manufacturing and things that we're doing. So we decided like we just continue doing that. But yeah, for me, if that's what they can afford, dude, then that's what they can afford. You know what I'm saying? And Behringer are affordable modules. Like, I mean, somebody might not have fucking $3,000 to buy
to
6
drop.
modules, dude.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that.
If that's what it takes for them to get in and then start, like, oh, I really want this, I'll get this other thing that's, then it is what it is. I mean, you can't really fault anybody for what they do. It's their money. They buy what they want to buy.
That's what it comes down to. I think we live in I agree with the affordability of things, and people have opinions of all kinds of folks and all kinds of brands, and that's okay. Everybody get their right to have their opinions of all kinds of people and all kinds of brands, and everybody moves how they move, whatever the case may be. But I really think when it comes down to just being a consumer, people don't concern themselves with things that maybe us in the community might concern ourselves with, or maybe we might hear with you in the when you kind of in the community and you dealing with the conversations and how things come about and how things spiral, and you know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I kind of look at it like, I dreamt of a day that I could buy whatever, name it. Right. You know what I'm saying? Name whatever it is. I dreamt of a day where I could buy this or that. But until then, like before I could get a synth, I had an MPK 49. You know what I'm saying? And there was a point when I couldn't afford an MPC, and I bought a whatever the hell that thing was. Like it helped me to get to a certain point. So I don't have a problem with people. And I think it's interesting. It's this distinction of new modular artists using Behringer. So that almost makes me think like them being new, maybe they don't know the history or some of the stuff that's in
and they don't know what I mean? And they don't necessarily that the community has for it. And look, I'll just put it out there like this. I typically don't buy Behringer modules, right? But think about it. If I really say I wanted to get a maths again, right?
Yeah.
Would I go spend $400 on the maths or $90 on the Behringer?
Right, yeah. And that's a real decision that a consumer is making.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, definitely, I would say support, make noise and get the maths. They're the ones that made this. They came up with this idea. But for the consumer and me that was 18 years old and wanted to try this shit out, you know what I'm saying? I have to have compassion for them also, because, if in my rack down there, I've had that Behringer headphone mixer for, I don't know, 25 years.
That's real.
I needed a way to hear what everybody else was hearing, and I didn't have $800, $600 to do it, but I got that thing for $60, and it did exactly what I needed it to do. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know the stipulation of, I knew, I was like, what the hell is a Behringer back then? You know what
of course.
saying?
I feel like that's a new stigma that Behringer has gained
because they copy stuff. It's because they're copying.
And that's where that stigma comes from. And see, there's a lot there. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of this is very new sort of stigma. And I look at it like, we all have our principles, have your principles, but also for a young consumer that's trying to get in and go. And even if you're not young, it's like, hey, everybody don't have budget to do X, Y, Z. I know that Eurorack is expensive. And for years, it was a tough thing to even find somebody that would do inexpensive things.
Yeah.
Now, there may be a morality sort of thing when it comes down to, and maybe not, I don't know. But I think the question that's out there in the ether is this morality of how you get there to this cheaper price point, you know, that has come at the cost of some stuff being copied. And I don't, you know, I support the originators of the thing, but I also understand why a consumer would make that decision.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And so that's really how I feel about it. I personally don't typically buy Behringer products. I guess the last Behringer product that I bought was the fake Moog that what was it? You know, it had the crap. It was like a small version of the keyboard. It was a Eurorack thing. It was a big long one. Not the. They came out with two. I got the second, the Model
Proton.
D.
The Model D. Clone. Okay. Yeah.
That's the last one that I've bought because and only because I wanted to try to get the sound of a Model D, and I didn't want to.
But you think about that. Honestly, that particular product, like, damn, bro, like, think about what was happening around then. For one, you couldn't get Model Ds unless you were spending 10 G's, or more. And then when Moog dropped the Model D, it was what, 5,000, 6,000? I don't even remember how much it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't some drop in the bucket that you could, you know what I'm saying? I come from a place where I couldn't wait till taxes drop so I could buy my first MPC. Right. Even if I had the taxes drop and I'm gonna go buy MPC, I couldn't say I'm gonna get a Model D. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough for a third of the thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So when you have that gap in the market, like that, and then some company, forget about the name, forget about whatever it is, and some company drops a thing that's 80, 90, 95% of the way there, but in a smaller package that could fit on your desktop. I mean, you smashing the game. I just can't. At a fraction of the cost. You can't even call
that's like 1,000th of the price.
You know what I'm saying?
$6,000 to $200. I mean,
it's a tough thing.
Yeah,
like I could see why something like that worked as well as it did. Like it really freaking worked as well. I mean, and two, that's another product that has been in the market for decades. Yeah. And I don't know how that stuff works about, you know, once things are around several decades, what's the copyright and all that stuff? What's all that? Does it the trademark? I don't know what I kind of.
How do they get their schematics? Is what I want. They got some super underground agents just scouting. Like Behringers, like ninjas, dog. They got like some agents out there scouting these schematics. Like,
it is crazy. I know they got some really incredible engineers over there because I know a couple of dudes that used to work for them, and those dudes are enterprising and really smart at what they do. But you know, for me, from my perspective, I like to think of what's new, and maybe Virgil Abloh had a philosophy that everything is nothing new under the sun. Everything is a derivative of the next thing or the previous thing, and he used to design in a way where he would change. I don't know. He has some kind of 20% rule. But that worked for like doing Nike shoes because you could still tell they were Nike shoes, but this collabo allowed him to spruce them up. You know what I'm saying? So there's all kinds of spaces in that creative thing that like I'll tell you, like Meridian was inspired, the filter was inspired by an old product, but it's not one for one by far. You know what I'm saying? But it was still inspired. It doesn't look like it. It doesn't necessarily sound like it, but the components of it, the inspiration was there. And when I looked at the old thing, I thought, oh, it would be dope to be able to do that this way. It wasn't like I went and tried to reverse engineer the thing to create the new thing. And I think that's a part of creativity. You know, it's a tricky
but there's
game.
There's a place in the market for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. They have you can hate them, but they have an awesome model.
Mm-hmm.
Make things that are unattainable attainable to people.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and we got to remember that, you know, there's people that this stuff is unattainable for. Like, simply, they would love to do it, but it is unattainable. Like, literally, you know what I
Yep.
mean? And yeah, they serve that market, I guess. So
They definitely do.
yeah.
And then, you know, it's a wild thing because you got companies like them that have the advantage of having a damn manufacturing plant in their back pocket. That
Right.
changes things dramatically.
Yeah. Yeah. Their ARP, huh?
Bro, you know?
A new ARP out.
The ARP. They have I forget what they, but yes, I'm just definitely drawing a blank. But the ARP 2600.
Hey, well, Mickey L, I want the Osiris 4-pad effects. Oh, that's Performer.
Oh yeah. I should probably show the difference there then. So Osiris, I don't have one that I could hold in my hand, but let's just show the difference. So this is Performer. This is Osiris. So this is a wavetable oscillator, a dual wavetable oscillator. And then this is Performer effects via arcade buttons. Very performable. So yeah, it's interesting. I just made a decision about that. In inventory, this is another behind the scenes look. In inventory, I just sold my last Performer, and so I had to get another run done. And I'm like, oh man, we coming up on the holiday season, and Performer is a good seller for me. So I had to get another run done, and that last one, they'll probably be out of stock for, I don't know, maybe till next month sometime. So yeah, just when I was kind of thinking like, let me see what I'm gonna do, and then I got a couple
you
orders.
told me you might.
Yeah, right. I was like,
gotta go get it done.
I had to go on and do the thing because I was surprised. Like, it still is one of those things that people be like, yo, I'm gonna need this. Like, my wife helps me on the business side.
Mm-hmm.
If any store sends us an email to where you can make orders to, she's the one that mans those emails. And so she came and she's like, yo, why am I getting all these emails about Performer? I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm looking at it, and then I'm like, okay, I'm boxing stuff up to send it out of there. And then I get down to the last one, and she was like, says we got 2. I'm like, oh, what I see is 1. So, but that probably is also because me making rigs to go and do conferences. You know what I'm saying? And I got to remember, that's another thing, just doing your business, like those little things like that. I probably took a Performer out of the stock. I had to grab one to do this thing and didn't remember to put it out of the system.
Right.
You know what I mean? So anyway, that's the difference between the two. That's what this kind of started as like. But yeah, I just I got a new batch coming on soon too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, but actually we almost said we're probably
we had an
at
hour
time.
10.
Yeah. So hey, yo, this turned out good. We're gonna some of you all probably will watch this at some point, and for the people that have been in and out of here, I appreciate y'all jumping in, and good questions, man. This is a good conversation.
I like this format actually.
Yeah, it's a dope format to kind of take those questions, and we ought to do that every now and then and just make it about just QA, like participation kind of stuff. But for those that came to see Gertz from Erica Sense, we're gonna get him on here. We had to do some last minute changes. I also want to talk about the steam pipe, and then Ken, who is also he's actually traveling right now, so he wasn't on the show today. He, I believe, did some preset work for the steam pipe. And I hope that's not something that is not supposed to be public, but
because it is now.
Yeah, it is now. We was gonna talk about all that. So yeah, we'll circle back around to the special guest. And actually I'm kind of glad it turned out this way because we got a chance to get into some conversation that I think is kind of dope to be able to show people a little bit of a thought and process and behind the scenes on some stuff. So anything you want to say in closing, bro?
Nah, man. Thank y'all for joining us. Join us next time, 2 weeks from now. And appreciate y'all coming, chatting with us, asking questions.
Word.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate y'all too. This the questions. Everybody that dropped questions in here was good stuff. And like I said, I think we'll do that every now and again just to kind of dig in. Yeah. I guess so. I done dropped the. Hey yo, before I go, I just want to rock this. I seen this video of this dude. He was a taxi driver, and he said, "Yo, if your name is Mark, and your wife was just here for her bachelorette party in Las Vegas, I just picked up her and 7 women, and what they did with the stripper and all the pictures and the girl whose name is XYZ, they gave her all of the nasty pictures, and she has them, and they're on their way back now to." I said, this dude tricking. I'm like, he's snitching all the time.
Wow.
So maybe I caught a little bit of that to be telling that business, but but yeah. All right, yo.
Yeah. All right, y'all.
Peace, yo. Yeah.